Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today should be Tuesday the 17th. If you're watching this on time, it should be anywhere between 7 and 11 a.m. A few things about yesterday. I think overall it went really well. I am only going to count Socrative as a completion grade. A few of the things that happened there, I'm just not happy with. I'm not able to see your work. I'm also there's just too much formatting error, so we're not going to be dealing much with Socrative Online anymore. Delta Math I think was really good, but today we're going to do things a little differently. So it is an A day. It is a teaching day. Now this is going to be the first run through that we do for an A day, so I'm going to teach last week's lesson. So this is going to be Thursday's lesson. So this is going to be just the vertex form and its intercepts, and then I'm gonna post a little worksheet on Google Classroom, and you're gonna take care of that. I'm gonna start time stamping my videos. So if at any point before or after you finish watching the video, you want to go back to a section. So in this video is only two. It's gonna be finding the y-intercept and finding the x-intercept. You're going to be able to click in the description the timestamp that says y-intercept at minute 3 or whatever, and it'll take you right to it. X-intercept at minute 7, and it'll take you right to it. So today's shouldn't be long. It's gonna be just two examples. It should take about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. It's something that we have already done. It's in your notes, but again, for the sake of us getting used to this, then we're gonna repeat that. And the way that I'm going to grade you and mark you present is that you're going to have to take a picture of your notes today. So you have to write them on a separate sheet of paper, just as if you would be in class. This has to be labeled, so this would be A315, which is the same one as last week. It has to say Tuesday 17th, 2020. Topic, vertex form as intercepts. Everything needs to be just as I wrote it. So the notes have to be perfect, and your name has to be visible. If I can't see your name in the picture that you upload to Google Classroom, then you're not getting credit for it. Okay, and that's going to be half of your credits. Half of your credits going to be your notes, and the other half is going to be your classwork. And again, the classwork you're going to have all the way until 2:20 to finish it. So let's get started. Again, I said it's only two examples that we're going to be doing today. We're going to start with finding the y-intercept. Now we're doing this from vertex form. So we already talked about standard, that if you wanted to find the y-intercept in standard form, it would just be the c value. I can't do that. So if we look at the if we look at the y-intercept of the vertex form, we said our vertex form was y is equal to a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. The number one mistake the students make here is that they take the k value and they say, well, that is my c, therefore that is my y-intercept. And that's not correct. I can't just grab my constant, the last number in the equation, and call it my y-intercept. I need to actually solve for this. So there's two ways that I can do that. I could just expand all of this out like we did yesterday, and grab the c value at the end, or I can just plug in the x value for the y-intercept. Now whenever I have a y-intercept, my x value is going to be 0, and I do want you to make a note of that, because it is something that we should know at this point, but you never have enough notes. So just let's make that a little asterisk there. So for the y-intercept, the x value is always 0. It's not how you spell always. Right, so for the y-intercept, the x value is always 0. So the only thing that we're going to do here is we're going to substitute 0 for y. Right, so I'm going to plug in 0 instead of y, and I'm just going to solve for it. And again, this is BOD, it's just going to be order of operations. So let's say I get an equation that says y is equal to 2 parentheses x minus 7 squared minus 20. Right? So I have something in standard form, in vertex form, and because it is not standard, I can't just grab this 20 at the end and say that's a y-intercept and I'm done with it. So I need to solve. Again, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute the 0 for my x value. So again, substitute zero for x. So whenever I see an x, I'm gonna write a 0. So in this case, that is the only x I see, and I'm gonna plug in the 0 in there. So let's rewrite this. This will be y is equal to 2 times 0 minus 7 squared minus 20. And this, all I'm gonna have to do is solve it normally, right? I'm gonna start with the inside of the parentheses first. So 0 minus 7 is just gonna be 7, negative 7. So this will be 2 times negative 7 squared minus 20. Following order of operations, the next thing I'll do is my exponents. So I'll do negative 7 squared, which is the same thing as negative 7 times negative 7, and that will give me a positive 49, and the rest remains the same. So I have 2 times 49 minus 20. So y will be equal to 2 times 49 is 98 minus 20, and 98 minus 20 is going to be 78. So my y-intercept in this case will be 78. So my y-intercept will be 0,78. And that is it. That's all I have to do. They give me a vertex form. They give me an equation in vertex form. And all I have to do to find the y-intercept is substitute 0 for x. The opposite is true. So let's say that instead I wanted to find the x-intercept, right? So the same way that the x is the 0 value for the y-intercept, the y is going to be the 0 value for the x-intercept. So let's try one of those. So we'll look for the x-intercepts in vertex form. So again, let's say I'm given something like y is equal to negative 2 times x minus 4 squared plus 32. And again, all I have to remember is that in order to find my x-intercept, my y value must be 0. So let's write that the same way as here. So for the x-intercept, my y value has to be 0. The y value has to equal to 0. Well, so all I have to do is plug in. Now, this is going to be a little different, so I need you to pay very close attention. Now, this is going to be doing order operations backwards because I'm going to have to solve for that x. I have x all the way in here, so I need to kind of treat it like an onion and peel the outsides first and try to leave that x alone, x equals to something. So let's substitute first the 0 in. So wherever I see a y, I'm going to write 0. So that will be 0 is equal to negative 2 times x minus 4 squared plus 32. And I want to work backwards. Now, this does behave like BOD. So I always begin with my opposites and then divide. So the only thing I can get an opposite of here is my constant, my 32. And the opposite of 32 is going to be negative 32. So I'm going to bring the 32 over. It's going to cancel on this side. And here I'll have negative 32 is equal to negative 2 times x minus 4 squared. Good, and I continue to try to peel this onion. So I took out the first layer, which was my opposite number, and I want to take out the next thing that's bothering me. So I want to leave the parentheses, the x minus 4 by itself. I want to take everything outside of it and get rid of it. So right now I have my negative 2 multiplying my x minus 4 inside the parentheses. So in order to get rid of something that's multiplying, I need to divide by it. So I'm just going to divide by this negative 2. So I'll divide by negative 2, I'll divide by negative 2. Well, negative 36 divided by negative 2 gives me positive 16. No need to write the positive there. And here this is going to cancel because negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1, and 1 times anything will be anything. So this will be positive 16 is equal to x minus 4 squared. Good. Up to here we haven't done anything new. The last step, we've talked about it plenty of times when we were going over exponential functions and solving, starting to solve quadratics. I told you that the opposite of a power is its root. So here I have a power of 2, something to the second power, and I want to take the opposite, which would be the root of 2, which is my square root. So in order for me to get rid of that, I'm just going to take the square roots of both sides. My root and my power are going to cancel, so I'm just going to be left with the x minus 4. Now I'm very interested in what's happening to the 16 on the left side, and I talked about this in class last week, and this is very much the whole thing of, you know, the idea behind, I guess, Stranger Things, right? So we talked about the upside down, and we talked about us having 4 times 4 equal to 16, which I said, yeah, that's totally fine. So if I take the square root of 16, one of the answers will be 4, but that's not the only answer. So the same way that I have 4 times 4 equals to 16, I always have the upside down, which in this case would be negative 4 times negative 4 equal to positive 16. So whenever I take the square root of something, I end up with two values, one positive and one negative, and we write that as positive or negative 4. And then this will be equal to x minus 4. Now I don't have the parentheses, I got rid of the exponents, the number multiplying it, everything. The only thing I need to do now is get rid of the negative 4. The problem here is that this plus or negative 4 on the left side is not really one number, it's two of them. So what I like to do is I like to split this in two before I continue working. So I'm going to rewrite this as two different equations. So I'll have negative 4 is equal to x minus 4, and positive 4 is equal to x minus 4. And then I'm just going to solve for both of them. Now these are two separate things, so let me do it in different colors. So negative 4 is equal to x minus 4, and positive 4 is equal to x minus 4. Now this always at the very end becomes a one or two step equation. In this case it's just one. I need to get rid of this negative 4, and in order to do that I need the opposite. So I'm going to write positive 4, positive 4. This is going to cancel, and here negative 4 and positive 4 give me 0. So one of my x-intercepts is going to be 0. And on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. So plus 4 to both sides. This is going to cancel, and 8 is equal to x. So my second x-intercept is going to be 8. So I can list this in a few ways. So I can say maybe x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 8. Or I could write it. Now remember, I could write it as a coordinate. Remember that the y value of the x-intercept is 0. So this one right here would be 0, 0. And this one here would be 8, 0. And that is it. That is all we're doing today. We're just going to find the x-intercept from vertex form, which is again plugging in y equals to 0, and then you're going to be finding the y-intercept from vertex, which is whenever my x is 0. So please, you have to take all these notes down. You have to take a picture of them. You have to put them on Google Classroom. That is going to be half of your grade. The other half is the worksheet that's there. So please go ahead, take your time. Again, I'm going to timestamp both of the examples so you can go back and forth very easily. I encourage that you print, if you can, the worksheet. If you can't, then just write it out. Again, these are just problems. You don't have to copy a lot. Write them down. You need to submit your work. That means that you have to take a picture of the sheet that you worked in and upload it for me to give you a grade. So you're going to upload two things today. You're going to upload your notes, and you're going to upload the 10 problems. You have to, okay? You have all the way until 2:20 to submit your work. So make sure that you watch the video. I told you yesterday. I can see how long of the video you watched. I guess there's always the option that you can let it run in the background. That is fine. But I need to know that at least you're putting the effort of waking up in the morning and attending class. You're not off, right? We're still taking classes. Tomorrow we're going to practice something new. Thursday and Friday, okay, we're going to be teaching the rest of the week just as if we were in school. So please take your time. Again, I'm going to be online all the way until 11 a.m. So very much like yesterday, if you have any questions, you send me a reminder. I do encourage you guys starting to use Google Classroom. That's a platform where you can answer to each other. You guys can come together and actually help yourselves out when I'm not online. But please try to make more use of that. I'm gonna try to stream if I can get my Google to work at around 9 a.m. So if I do that, if I get my YouTube account set up, then I'll go ahead and I'll send you guys a reminder, and I'll tell you, hey, listen, I'm gonna be online for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and I'll answer any questions that you guys might have. Okay, so have a good rest of the day. Make sure that you finish everything, upload everything, and if you have any questions, just send me a reminder.